The insiders are in one now with the deadline fast approaching. There's Chris Johnston, Pierre LeBrun, and Darren Dreger. Not often coming up to a deadline do you have a two-time Stanley Cup champion captain who's still really good, 28 goals this season, who could be available. Is that the case for Steven Stamkos, Pierre?
Yeah, it is possible, and here's what's happening. Steven Stamkos has a full no-move clause. He controls his fate here, and he's not asking out. He's happy in Nashville, but in preparation for if Predators management go to him before next Friday and say, we've got some offers on the table, I'm told that Stamkos and his camp have prepared themselves, and they prepared themselves by coming up with a list of preferred destinations. I'm told that list is topped by Tampa Bay, and then Dallas, and then Minnesota are the three teams on that list. To a certain degree, New Jersey, the Devils tried to sign him 2 years ago, but certainly it's Lightning, Stars, and Wild, and obviously Tampa Bay. Boy, that's a juicy angle if that could ever happen. Keep in mind that I think it's more likely this is a summer discussion, a summer trade, but just brace yourself in case this possibility happens.
We're also at the time of year where we see players being held out of the lineup, and a lot of people thought when that happened with Tyler Myers in Vancouver that maybe a deal was imminent or already done. How close is there to a Myers deal, CJ?
Yeah, this is an unusual circumstance. You're right. Usually we're waiting for the next shoe to drop, and in this case, Tyler Myers also has a no-movement clause, and he's got a heck of a lot to say in what happens here as a result of that. And the trade that was put in front of him and his agent this week was the Detroit Red Wings. And I think at this point in time, that's not necessarily a place that Myers is looking to go. But that doesn't mean he's not going to, be moved here before the deadline. There's still lots of time. And I think he's inclined to wait to see if perhaps some other teams step up and try to make a deal with the Canucks. The Dallas Stars, for example, are a team that are known to have some interest in him. And I believe he'd like to play there if that could work out. And so really, the onus is on the Canucks right now to come up with something to get him to waive that no-movement clause. And in the meantime, it's a waiting game.
It is, and we know that the Vancouver Canucks are focused on the June draft. I mean, they're going through a rebuild. That's pretty obvious, and because of that, they're willing to listen on just about everything. It's interesting to me that Brock Besser's name is out there. I mean, this guy just signed a 7-year contract with the Canucks on July 1st. Now, is he willing to move? Well, he is, if there's a fit that makes sense to Besser and his family. He's a playoff performer, so teams will express some interest. I look at Jake DeBrusk. We talked about Elias Pettersson on Tuesday, but the most likely to get moved in Vancouver sooner than later is Evander Kane in the next couple of days.
Toronto had that nice little run before the Olympic break and maybe had some hope, but it felt like it was really crushed quickly in one game, that 4-2 loss to Tampa. And so there was a lot of talk about the Leafs becoming sellers on this day. The team hasn't said it yet, but if they decide to go that way, CJ, how deep does the selling go?
They haven't said it out loud, but I think internally they recognize that this sale, could go on here. And really what's going to drive this, I believe, is going to be where the market prices go. At this point in time, there's no set fair market value for a lot of players. It's a difference between what teams want out there. Dregs on Tuesday dealt with the pending UFAs, Lawton and McMahon. They're either signing extensions or going out the door. But what about guys with term? Oliver Ekman-Larsson, player like Brandon Carlo, Max Domi. There's a number of guys, veteran players on this roster that I think the Leafs would look at under the right circumstances, but they have to be the right ask. They're not just going to sell other players on the roster for the sake of doing so.
Meanwhile, CJ, the Leafs were in Florida on Thursday night, playing the two-time Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, who were starting a critical stretch. 5 games in 7 days that will determine whether they're buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. And within all that is this. They think, I believe, that if they go 5-0 and 4-1, they're very much back in the Atlantic Division race. They keep the team together. If it's anything short of that, I think they're ready to be sellers. They have a number of pending UFAs, A.J. Greer, Jeff Petrie, etc. But you know who else is pending UFA? Sergei Bobrovsky. And Kevin Weeks raised some eyebrows this week when he said, Sergei Bobrovsky has not been signed to an extension. Could he be traded at the deadline? And the reality is, well, yeah, he could be if they are sellers. And, it's not time right now in season, given his struggles, to approach him about an extension. That would wait till after the year. So keep an eye on that one if Florida doesn't go on a run here.
There's no waiting for the next week's results for St. Louis. They're out of it. Is it going to be a full full-fledged fire sale there, Dregs?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question. How deep does the knife cut? We know that the cutting will begin in the very near future. There's not a lot of activity around Jordan Binnington, which is a little bit surprising given his status and what he was able to get done at the Olympics. I'm looking at Captain Braden Shen. It seems like his name is out there on an annual basis. He doesn't necessarily have the stomach for a rebuild. Could he be a fit? But a lot of traction around veteran defenseman Justin Falk. Now, if Myers gets dealt by the Vancouver Canucks, then you're looking at Falk and then maybe Ristolainen from the Philadelphia Flyers as the most available right shot D.
Because of that Olympic break, feels like it's coming fast, just over 1 week away.